A Course in Miracles. Lesson 82. We will review these ideas today. 63. The light of the world brings peace to every mind through my forgiveness. My forgiveness is the means by which the light of the world finds expression through me. My forgiveness is the means by which I become aware of the light of the world in me. My forgiveness is the means by which the world is healed, together with myself. Let me then forgive the world, that it may be healed along with me. Suggestions for specific forms for applying this idea are: let peace extend from my mind to yours, name. I share the light of the world with you, name. Through my forgiveness, I can see this as it is. 64. Let me not forget my function. I would not forget my function because I would remember myself. I cannot fulfill my function if I forget it. And unless I fulfill my function, I will not experience the joy that God intends for me. Suitable specific forms of this idea include: let me not use this to hide my function from me. I would use this as an opportunity to fulfill my function. This may threaten my ego, but cannot change my function in any way. The lighthouse that thought it was under attack. There was once a lighthouse that believed it was a man. It stood tall on the edge of a restless shore, built to shine, built to guide, built to give light without effort. But somewhere along the way, it began to believe the storms were about it. The wind felt personal. The waves felt like threats. The darkness felt like an enemy pressing in. So the lighthouse did what the ego always does. It tried to protect itself. It built walls around its light. It dimmed its beam so it wouldn't attract trouble. It began watching the horizon not to guide, but to defend. And in that moment, it forgot its function. Now the ships began to crash, not because the lighthouse was broken, but because it was withholding what it was created to give. And here is where forgiveness enters the story. Forgiveness is not fixing the storm. Forgiveness is not calming the sea. Forgiveness is not changing the ships. Forgiveness is the lighthouse remembering, I was never under attack. And the moment it remembers this, the light returns. Not because it was rebuilt, but because it was never gone. This is why forgiveness is the means. It does not create the light. It reveals that the light was never threatened. Now let's go deeper. Why the ego feels threatened. The ego is the voice that told the lighthouse it was a body in danger, a structure that could be damaged, a form surrounded by hostile forces. So when forgiveness says, this is not happening to you the way you think, the ego hears death. Because if the storm is not real in the way it believed, then the identity built around surviving the storm collapses. That is the threat. Not harm, but irrelevance. Forgiveness undoes the entire premise the ego is built on, that something real can be threatened. Why your function cannot be touched. The lighthouse's function is to shine, not to fight waves, not to negotiate with storms, not to analyze darkness. Its function is inherent, given, not earned, established, not maintained. So even when it forgets, it is still what it is. The light does not become less light because it is hidden. It simply waits to be remembered. This is why nothing in the world can change your function, because your function was not assigned by the world. It was given by what you are. Function and forgiveness, the two F's. Forgiveness is how the lighthouse stops misinterpreting the storm. Function is what naturally returns when the misinterpretation ends. You don't perform your function. You stop blocking it. You don't become the light. You stop pretending you are something else. And this is why the Course repeats it over and over, because the mind keeps trying to do what can only be remembered. Applying it, the living transmission. When you say, let peace extend from my mind to yours, you are not sending something out. You are removing the idea that anything was ever separate. When you say, I share the light of the world with you. You are acknowledging that there is only one light, appearing as many. When you say, "Let me not forget my function," you are not asking to become something new. You are choosing not to hide anymore. And when something arises that seems to threaten you, a person, a memory, a situation, that is the exact moment the lighthouse is tempted again. To dim, to defend, to forget. But now you see it. This may threaten my ego, but it cannot change my function. Say it again. It cannot change my function. Because the storm has no authority over the light, and never did. The return. So the lighthouse stops negotiating with the weather. It stops studying the darkness. It stops protecting what was never vulnerable. And it shines, effortlessly, naturally, inevitably. And as it shines, the ships are guided. The shore is revealed. And the peace it thought it had to find was what it was extending all along.